Oh my gosh. Trying to record has just been a pain in the ass. Okay. Hello, everybody. So, I'm here to talk about so the mass shootings that have been happening lately. Now, I'm not here to go into the nitty-gritty details. And while and honestly, I think it's terrible, and I think it's terrible that we're kind of using the lives of children to advance our political agendas. But it's effective, so unfortunately, that's a thing. Um, and honestly, this is the only reason I even know about all these mass shootings going on is because every time it happens, the huge debate about guns comes up. And I gotta be honest, I'm on both sides. Like, I am a believer that, yeah, we need to have our schools armed, but with very well trained people. But at the same time, I think that, you know, gun restrictions um, are a little bit more necessary. Now, I don't think. I think someone like me should be able to get a gun because I am mentally sound enough to, not kill myself or kill another person. Um, as long as I think as long as you know how to safely use a gun and you're not, um, you don't have a mental illness that could prevent you from, or like a mental illness that could make you violent or make you shoot something that's not really a threat. Um, like extreme amounts of schizophrenia. But at the same time, I gotta be honest, that's not going to solve our school shootings. Now, I think having our schools armed up will at least kind of help protect our kids. But I don't think that restricting gun laws are necessarily going to help out as much as people think that it will. Because just like marijuana, look, I mean, and really just any drugs in general, alcohol, everything really. Um, you're gonna get a hold of it, no matter how illegal it is. Um, you know, it's like it's like alcohol. Actually, I'm gonna compare it to that because at least for alcohol, when you're under 21, um, obviously teenagers drink and all that stuff. The thing is that while I basically people are gonna find a way to get a hold of whatever is illegal, and there's still gonna be a problem. And regardless of how much of a restriction you put on something, um, and I think that instead of that, we need to have more things on gun safety and stuff like that. Um, but I'm not really here to talk as much about the guns. I'm here to actually talk about um, what is causing these people to do these mass shootings. Because, I mean, like I said, you hold guns, all we want, and all that stuff. And if it was just, now it'd be one thing, like, if it was, like, obviously mentally ill people. obviously mentally ill people, you know, I think we could come to somewhat of an agreement, but I don't think it's not just that because I mean, yeah, there are psychopaths and stuff like that, but we also face a very huge problem of uh, bullying in our schools, and that tends to lead to hate. I think that now I'm gonna be honest. This is something that now I'm gonna say I know people can be like, oh well, that's easier said than done, and yeah, no duh, but I think what we really need is an overhaul of our school systems and of how we raise our children and all that crap. And I do think it is a difficult thing to do. It's not easy by any means whatsoever. I think that we are we have too much of a blame culture. Um, we have too much of a hate culture, and we have kind of a stupid culture. Uh, Now, let's start off with the hate. Um, so, let's be real. Like, we've got to, we are always pinned up against each other, and we can be pretty damn prideful sometimes of ourselves, and everyone always thinks they're number one, and if someone's not rewarded for something, they feel cheated and used, basically. Which is where participation trophies come in at. Um, which, yeah. I mean, wow. Uh, we, there's a very huge bullying problem in our schools. And so, and I don't know how this is in other countries. I've been doing a lot of research on other countries, though. And, so yeah, I might end up comparing us to other countries a lot. Um, and yeah, we have a lot of crime rates. It's not just mass shootings here. A lot of our problems derive from the fact that we commit a lot of crimes. Like, compared to a lot of European countries, we have some pretty damn high crime rates. And I think it's sad, honestly. I think it's terrible, and it really does suck. Keep yawning. Um, but so when it comes to all that, I think bullying is a very huge source of specifically these school shootings. Um, because you got people who are bullies and who treat people like shit. Um, and we've got a really bad problem here. Um, Mostly, I think, while, yeah, I mean, school spirit is great. It really is. I love school spirit stuff. I really love it. But I think some of our school system as a whole is just really, it's a joke. It really is. It's not modernized. It's basically based off of training people for industry work like, factories and crap like that, follow directions and whatnot. If you want to be a factory worker, I mean, hell, schools are great for you then. Um, but nowadays, we need more innovation, more creativity. Um, we're not just a bunch of factory workers. You know, we need people with more ideas and stuff like that. And here in the U.S., we're not really trained for that. There are other countries that are significantly better as far as school systems go. Now, yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. High school says they're training you for college, but they're not. They're just a giant freaking daycare for teenagers. And I think something that we tend to do, that I've found out, is we have um, longer school days. And we have longer school days because, we tend to, we add in all of the, you know, extracurricular stuff and whatever. Um, and other schools don't really do that as much. In other countries, they don't really do that at all. All the sports and activity stuff, basically, they have to go outside of the country, not outside the country. Brain! um, y'all see my brain is fried from trying to record this. They have to go outside of school in other countries. There we go. That's how English works. Um, and so, what we tend to do here in America is, so much, so much of our lives are spent at school. And I think that while it does try to strive for a better social interactions with each other, it also has a tendency to uh, um, it has a tendency to kind of people kind of end up pinned up against each other, and a lot of immaturity happens in schools and stuff like that, um, and we're not really taught to be diverse either. And actually, a very large portion of the world, I forgot what the actual percentage is, but basically, it was like over half. I forgot what the actual percentage is though. But over half the world, speaks more than one language. Um, and, well, here in America, we kind of only speak English. We are very isolated. And something I've noticed from watching videos from foreigners who come to the US is we are really polite, but then I'll see more videos about how some of our phrases that we say are more of a greeting than anything else, and basically, or like they're not really meant to be taken seriously, basically. And I think a lot of what these people don't realize is how fake us Americans really are as far as kindness goes. We are super friendly, and honestly, honestly, I genuinely do care about people, and so it's it's really hard to tell who's real and who's fake. For the most part, though, here people are fake. They are fake, fake, fake. I saw a picture, meme a while back that was like, um, it was about like basically the grass is, the whole phrase about how the grass is always greener on the other side. But basically, it summed it up as grass is probably greener because it's fake, and that's honestly a lot of America as a whole. Is we tend to be really, really super fake, and something we tend to do. We tend to really divide ourselves, just like in high schools. And this is another thing, I've heard about other foreigner videos, is they notice that we really do tend to form what we call cliques, pretty strongly, like jocks and nerds and stuff like that. And honestly, they're not wrong. They really aren't. We are we tend to divide up ourselves and basically only hang out around people with similarities. And don't get me wrong, I mean, it's great to find community with people who share those similarities. Unfortunately, if you're someone like me who is non-binary and like conservative, you tend to be isolated even more, and then even more so when you are very critical of America. And it's like, um, because there's not a lot of people like me, and honestly, I would honestly be concerned if there were more people like me. That would be very concerning. Like, dude, you don't want to be like me. Uh, and basically, um, you know, we we tend to really divide up ourselves, and really we tend to point out the differences. Whereas, like in other countries, that's not as common. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's definitely still like other issues in other countries, and don't get me wrong. I'm not saying America is the worst. I'm just kind of saying we are a very mediocre country. Because we are definitely not the best, like they try to tell us we are. Um, but we're definitely not the worst. There are a lot of other countries that are pretty not so great, um, to live in, and I would much rather be here than those places. Um, but I think we are kind of given a false sense of how great we really are, because we're not really as great, which kind of leads me to kind of the pridefulness and the blame that we tend to have towards each other. Is just we are very prideful. We are basically the Vegeta of the countries, and um, at least like, or at least like developed countries. Like, damn. Um, and something that I've noticed, that I think everyone has noticed, is we have this really crappy two-sided system called Democrats and Republicans. Look, okay, like, I am critical of like liberal views, but the thing about it is I'm only honestly, I'm only critical of them because of the extremist. because there are so many of them. Like, honestly, I could care less. But because of the extremes, honestly, on both sides, I feel like I have to put out my opinion out there because I'm like, okay, we can find a middle ground here. And it's like, no. Um, if you look into, government, that's like, oh, okay, this is, one side's like, they won't compromise with us, and the other side's like, they won't compromise with us. And it's like, and basically it's like, what if we do no? What if we do no? And that's literally both sides of politics. That's politics. That's, you know, there you go, everybody. If that's all you need to know about politics in America, is all it is just, what if no? That's all it is. That's really all it freaking is. Um, I'm laughing, but it's really stupid, and that's why I'm kind of laughing at it, because it's like, oh my god, why are we so stupid? Jump out the window! Ah! Um, where's the bleach? No, I don't have any Tide Pods. Bleach is terrible by itself. Anyhow, yeah. Hey, gotta add in some comic relief here, right? Anyhow, um, now for the serious stuff, like, that's gonna be really dark and horrible. Um, so, I gotta be honest with y'all. Maybe not within the next year or two, but I think 4, 5, 6, 10, I think within the next decade, we could end up seeing civil war in the United States. And it's a very dark concept, especially if you look at some other countries that have civil war going on. And I think that could be the worst thing to really happen with us, really, because civil war is something that makes countries a lot more attackable. And regardless of your opinion of Mr. Donald Trump, well, I gotta be honest. I am a neutral guy on him. I don't think he is the worst president ever. But I do think he is playing poke the bear with other countries, and I do think, if civil war breaks out here, it's going to be a lot easier for other nations to attack. And I think if other nations have the intelligence that I'm assuming that they actually have, I'm assuming they would be smart enough to take advantage of something like that. So why do I think civil war could break out? Well, we've got this really stupid two-sided system, as I was just saying. And something else us Americans are very great at. We are great at being very, very passionate and entitled people. Now, I'll be honest. Passionate people can be one of the most beautiful things you ever see. At least in my opinion. I love hearing other people's thoughts on things whenever they are truly passionate about things, and they're just going full force at it, and they're just going on and on about it. I listened to someone talking about environmental stuff, and in all honesty, I don't really care about environmental stuff. Like, it's just not my interest area at all. but I can sit there and I can listen to someone, talk about their passion for that, because you know, it's just, it's so beautiful to see someone so happy about that specific subject and feel so strongly about it. But, just like a flower, um, it can be hard to grow and grow well. Um, or maybe more like a fire, maybe even. Um, Passion is great, and fire is great. It provides us with warmth and light, and um, it helps us cook food. And I do like my food. Um, but of course, if a fire is unintended or not well maintained, it can really it can get out of control, and it can cause forest fires, and crap like that. And that's kind of how passion is. It can be a very dangerous thing if not well maintained, and unfortunately, us Americans are not so great at maintaining that fire. We are bad at it. We are awful at it, and that's something people don't really get, is we suck at things a lot. What tends to happen is we tend to, like I said before, with the isolation and blocking out other people, we tend to isolate ourselves, we tend to block out other people's opinions, and that's not a good way to go about your passions. Um, if you are really passionate about what you believe in, uh, you should be able to have those beliefs and feelings challenged, and you should be able to come back at it with an even better argument. Unfortunately, we don't really do that, and what we tend to do is we tend to be at each other's throats, which, once again, is ties in with the hate culture that we have. We hate each other. We really do. We have a bullying problem in schools, and we are, honestly, on both sides, we are racist. Like, white people are racist against blacks are racist against whites, Asians are racist against I don't know. um, Everybody is racist against each other. At least here in America, is for certain. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying like racism does not exist in other countries, because it very much does. It really does. But we get very passionate about people who are racist, get very passionate about that. So, what do? KKK, Black Lives Matter. Um, yeah, two great examples of that. Um, ISIS, that's more religious, I don't even know. Um, and like with Christianity, it's kind of like, if you're gay, if you're with religion over here, it's like if you're really passionate about things, people are, um, or like taking pride in being straight. That is something that a lot of people take great pride in. If you're a trans person and you are dating somebody and you don't tell them you're trans, which you should tell them you're trans, because that's just kind, anyways. It's just the respectful thing to do. Um, you know, people get mad whenever they realize you that they have been dating someone of the who is perceivably, not, the opposite. gender. And we take points of view and perspectives very, very personally. We take a lot of things very personally, um, and we really don't listen to what people gotta say. And sometimes, even whenever we misuse words, but there's a kind of tone there, we will still perceive that as a negative thing. Um, and so, like I said, we tend to get very, very passionate, and we tend to hate each other, and we tend to point fingers, be like, you're the problem, you're at fault, um, everything would be better if we just did this and just did that. And a lot of people don't realize that there needs to be a lot more compromise. There's just, because honestly, it's like, it's not just white and black. Hell, it's not even just gray, even. It's all of the damn freaking colors of the rainbow. Like, seriously. And for us to put things out there like it's so simple, and some things are really simple, and we make simple things more complicated, and we make complicated things too simple sometimes. I know that's kind of weird, but yeah. And with all this isolation, blaming, bullying, uh, and we just and passion. Like I said, passion isn't just a political thing, but it can also become an anger thing too. It can be an emotional thing. Like if you like, let's say your favorite color is pink, and someone's like, "Oh my gosh, pink is such a freaking gay color. It's so stupid." Like, I mean, most people outside of, most people, of course, you're kind of like, "Oh, yeah, that's kind of rude." Um, but what we have a tendency to do is we tend to act out in the moment, and we get angry, we get mad, and we get violent sometimes. We're like, no, you're so stupid for thinking pink's a stupid color, like, or whatever. I'm using a very mundane example and kind of exaggerating it a little bit, but it's not as much of an exaggeration as you would think, because, well, like, over here in the U.S. with misgendering and stuff like that, I think really only here in Canada is the only places it seems like it tends to be as big of a deal if you're misgendered, I guess. I don't know. I don't know a lot about this, but over time, you get misgendered a lot, and it hurts you a lot, and so you feel very passionate whenever the more it happens, the more passionate you feel about how negative it really is, and in all honesty, being misgendered is not. It's not as bad. It sucks, but it's not as bad as some people paint it out to be. Yeah. Fuzzy. I don't know what kind of fuzzy. But yeah, we tend to really hate each other, and like, I mean, and our education system isn't so educational, honestly. And we don't learn real life skills. We don't even learn other languages, really. Like, I mean, high school kind of, actually, at least in my high school, you didn't even have to take a language as a requirement. Like, you could choose between language and computers, which computers is in a sense another language too. But I mean, we're not expected to know another language. In fact, we expect other people to come here and know how to speak our language. And I mean, that makes sense because it's like, well, with a bunch of people who only know English, um, you might have an issue if you're speaking French or something like that. Um, and so, yeah, we tend to be a very hateful group. We tend to divide ourselves, like in universities too. I mean, it's like our ideals aren't challenged. Ideas, thoughts are not challenged, and basically we're just and we're paying a bunch of money for this crap. It's so stupid. It is so stupid. I don't even know why we do this. It's stupid. It really is stupid. And so we don't even know a lot about other cultures either. Like, seriously, we only know a little bit about our own country, like, and it's just so shoved down our throats, and we don't really know anything else about other countries. I mean, I don't even hardly remember things from world history, honestly. Like, that's that's the most diverse class you're gonna get in, like, U.S. high schools. And like I said, I don't remember crap from it. Like, and so, and like I said, we're kind of taught these nonsensical things, like, and it just doesn't make sense, and a lot of our people are still illiterate, honestly. Like, with the No Child Left Behind program, well, quite frankly, some people need to be a little more, if they are not academically doing the things they need to do, they should not be passing school. Just saying, like, you should provide accommodations to a reasonable degree, but yeah, there are still students who come out of schools kind of illiterate. They can just get away with that, and we are just, and you mix up ignorance with this idea of we have to be with the group that matches ourselves, and other people are not as good, or other people are dangerous or whatever, and we get scared, and we get passionate about those fears, and we act out on those things, and so many crimes, and, like, dude, when a girl cheats on a guy, or a guy cheats on a girl, someone's gonna get hell. Someone's gonna get punched in the face. You're gonna get in a fight, or possibly even killed. Like, because we are also very sensitive. With a passion comes sensitivity, and we're kind of fragile. Americans are fragile, regardless of race. I have heard of the whole white fragility kind of thing, but I think I think it's an entire American culture. It's not just whites. It's not just, and it's not just, people of color. It's not. And yeah, and we end up hating each other so much because all we know how to do is blame each other and not really. We don't even really know how to think for ourselves. That's the saddest part of it all is we just we don't even know how to think for ourselves. Like we're just kind of sheep, and once in a while, there are going to be people who know how to use the system in their favor and just going to follow them. And we've got a lot of false media stuff, and we got a bunch of stuff that's just, it's all bad. And, we've got fears, we got passion, and I think with all of it, I mean, once again, with the passion and just the two-sided system, I think that's going to cause civil war. But I think what causes all these, school shootings and crap like that is, people want fucking revenge. Because their feelings were probably hurt and they were bullied. And basically, it's kind of a thing of sensitive people act out and someone else's feelings get hurt, and then someone acts out even stronger and stronger, and it develops into something bigger. It's one of those things that over time, the things are not handled well, and we don't handle things the way we probably should, and what we tend to do is those teeny tiny problems will turn into something just blown way out of proportion. And it's just a disaster waiting to happen. And I think with the state that our country is in too is just like, I mean, like I said, we don't know how to think for ourselves. Honestly, our presidential election just kind of goes to show how stupid we are. Our trends that we have a tendency to have, like eating Tide Pods, goes to show our stupidity. I mean, it's just, it's only a matter of time before, like, something bad breaks out, and I don't know, maybe we will get smart enough to take a few steps back and reanalyze this and try to redo things in a sense. But as of right now, it doesn't look like that's gonna. It looks like all we can really do right now is breed more violence, and that's what we're doing. That's why these mass shootings, these school shootings, why all these crime rates are so high is just all we do is breed hate. And the more hate there is, So, thanks for listening. Hopefully this was all clear and made sense. So yeah, thank you. Bye.